Welcome to Radio Friends on Friday, May the 27th. This is Memorial Day weekend. I hope you have a good one planned, and if you're going to be out and about, that you'll be careful. All right, there'll be a lot of people out on the highways. My friend Alex LaBrunerie is with us from LaBrunerie Financial. Good to have you here, Alex.
Thank you. Great to be here.
We've got several topics to deal with today. We've talked about in the past the stocks and the number one company, which for years had been Apple.
Apple Computer, yes.
Okay.
As measured by market value, the most valuable company has been Apple, over $1 trillion and then over $2 trillion in market valuations.
For how many years?
I think they're 6 now. We figured it's been going on 6. My memory might be a little wrong on that, but and now Amazon and Microsoft got caught up with Apple, but something's really changed this year.
So they are no longer the number one company.
That is true. They have been
dethroned a bit?
Dethroned, hopefully temporarily, by an oil company, which anyone who has gone to the pump this week would understand by the prices we're paying now for oil. But the publicly traded oil company Aramco surpassed Apple in market valuation last month.
Now, some people would say, is this really necessary? Are these prices that we're paying necessary, or is this price gouging?
And they'd be pretty much right if that's what they said. There's OPEC is sticking to their production quotas, so that controls supply as the demand is very high. So they're controlling supply for their own profit.
That brings prices up. What can we do as consumers to force those prices to go down? Drive less?
Well, that would be one. We go back to the 1970s when we drove less and at lower speeds, back to the 55 mile per hour. We didn't like that much back in the 70s, I recall. But yeah, conservation, and then really hope that the Ukrainian crisis, ends sometime before winter, if that's possible. That's a big pressure. And then get our domestic productions back up.
You were telling me that when the pandemic struck, our domestic production went down.
Yes, because we can all remember, and just before COVID hit in February, oil was almost $24 a barrel. And that's not profitable for a lot of American oil producers. And so many of them shut their productions. And then, boom, COVID hit. And that was a more drawdown on demand.
Yeah. Now, the other thing that we're dealing with today is inflation.
Inflation, yes. And I was just thinking, Paul, I remember John Howell was on your show about a summer ago, almost, maybe July. I can't recall the exact month, but John was pointing out, how deadly inflation is to us back then, and he's certainly been correct. Inflation has not gone away, and it really is, I think, hurting us at the gas pump, at the grocery store, when we're buying a car.
Yes, you go to the grocery store and you pick up an item that maybe a month ago was $2 or $3 less than what it is now.
Yes.
I found myself at the store the other day and I was looking at something and I had it in the basket. Then I saw the price and I said, oh no. And I put it back.
Yes. Yeah. I think there's a lot of that going on, and it could tip us into a recession. We're all really being very budget-minded, even if we weren't normally so prior to this inflation bout.
So what do we do as consumers? How do we exist with inflation, with price gouging? What do we do?
I think it's going to be tough. We need to learn to get by with less, not to be, austerity messages don't, go off too well. But I think looking at budgets and cutting back, that's what we have to do.
Then when you cut back, you cause the economy to shrink a bit.
And we're seeing that in stock market valuations. It's, growth stocks right now are pretty much in bear market territory. Some are down, some indexes are down almost 20-25% for the year. So we're seeing this is something with the American consumer must be pulling back in mass.
And when you look at your portfolio, you're not used to seeing it.
Yes.
You're not used to seeing it negative because we've been accustomed to seeing it climbing and climbing.
Yes, it's a negative. I think we're also watching people who have borrowed money and maybe bought securities are now going through margin calls, and that's created some fierce selling on certain stocks and other assets, and that's a market mechanic that should smooth itself out, but it's painful while it's happening for long-term investors.
This is a correction that's going on right now. As far as the long-term investors, what do you say? Sit tight and have patience?
Well, I think we mentioned a few weeks ago, it's time to review your risk to make sure you're not too far out there. You may want to look at buying into the energy markets. If you don't own those now, they'll probably be money makers for years to come, unfortunately. Maybe it's a little solace for the money you pay at the pump, that maybe you can make a little money in that market. But I think ultimately being patient and reviewing right now and not panicking, like we say. I think we'll know by the end of summer. It'll be if inflation's leaving our economy. We are going through something very profound in that we're extracting ourselves from a COVID economy and trying to get back to a normal economy. It won't be like pre-COVID, but it could be still very strong and long term. I think it will be strong long term. But we are doing something historic in trying to extract ourselves from a shutdown, monetary, stimulated, fiscal stimulated economy, and that's going to have fits and starts and price distortions.
Okay, well, it makes common sense to me, sitting here listening to you talk. In the long run, we'll be okay.
Yes, and
okay, we'll end on the positive note.
It's May, and a lot of people are graduating, a lot of kids starting their new lives. Congratulations to them.
Yeah.
And to their parents who got them through college and got them safely launched.
Okay,
so congratulations.
Next time we'll talk about what parents can do when they have the empty nest there.
Yes.
All right. ALEX LaBrunerie, thank you so much. 449-5313, LaBrunerie Financial. It's a pleasure having you here. And happy
Memorial Day, everyone.
Thank you, Alex. Thank you. Be careful out there. Bye-bye.